Forgot to take myself off mute. The ominous music means bad news for one Inter Miami. As you can see here, it's Friday night. This is an emergency pod. Was not in the cards heading into the day and into the weekend. But alas, here we are due to some very big Inter Miami related news, and that is that Lionel Messi as well as Jordi Alba are suspended for the weekend MLS regular season match against FC Cincinnati at home at Chase Stadium in Fort Lauderdale due to their absences from the MLS All-Star game. Who better to join me on short notice and for very big, not only team news, league news. This is huge. This is making headlines actually worldwide. It's not even just, national. This is international. Well, Simon Evans, our resident Brit, level-headed, experienced, a true reporter through and through.
I went to the All-Star game. I was in Austin at the All-Star game. I turned up. I wasn't a no-show.
So therefore, you are eligible for Miami Total Football Radio appearance today. Well, welcome, Simon. It's been a few weeks, or since a month now, since the Club World Cup, the last time you were on. So how are you doing? How has this past month been for you?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been really, really busy. A lot of soccer business news, a lot of off-the-field stuff. Lots going on. So lots to talk about tonight.
Yeah, and you have a new HD camera now. Look at you. Making me look bad over here.
I remember one of the regular viewers was saying that I always looked as though like I was like boiling potatoes or something on my webcam. Like it was all steamed up.
Yeah. That was fun.
But you can get a lot out of very little these days with technology. You can do stuff. It's good.
I'm the younger one of the two. I should be ahead of you in terms of the technological curve, and it's not that way. It's not that way.
You to me for
you
iPhone
flipped the script.
Connectivity advice. Yeah.
You flipped the script on me, Simon. It's Friday night. People have plans to get to, I'm sure, as you do, as I do. But could not miss the opportunity to talk about this. Is obviously very big news. As I said, a few moments ago, Messi suspended from this weekend's match. Jordi Alba as well, but obviously the biggest talking point is Messi. That news came in the afternoon today via Major League Soccer. A written press release, a prepared statement from Don Garber was included. And again, it all boils down to Messi and Alba's absence. There are no shows from the MLS All-Star game, which, again, is a rule. It's an MLS rule that if you do not show up to the All-Star game and you are on the roster, that you are supposed to miss the next game. That didn't happen last year with Luis Suarez, but this year, Messi and Alba pay the piper. Let's quickly go into the verbiage, the wording from the press release here. This is from MLS. Comments from MLS Commissioner Don Garber. Quote, I know Lionel Messi loves this league. I don't think there's a player or anyone who has done more for Major League Soccer than Messi. I fully understand, respect, and admire his commitment to Inter Miami, and I respect his decision. Unfortunately, we have a long-standing policy regarding participation in the All-Star game, and we had to enforce it. It was a very difficult decision. That said, we're going to take a hard look at the policy moving forward. I am committed to working with our players to determine how the rule should evolve. End quote. In that prepared statement, we'll get to Jorge Mas's impromptu press conference that he had a couple hours or an hour or so later. Very reminiscent of when Don Garber did something similar after Jurgen Klinsmann made some comments.
Wasn't it? Yeah.
Very, very reminiscent. And if you see, this is why Simon and I, we go way back. Simon, what did you make first of the initial news that Messi and Alba were being suspended? I mean, for me, I don't know if you thought, you had hopes or not hopes, if you had any belief that MLS could do it. I had no conviction that MLS would pull the trigger and actually go through with this, but they did. What'd you think?
So shortly before that decision happened, I was recording a podcast about the various activities that have been going on at All-Star, all the meetings and so on at the All-Star game, my soccer business podcast. And I had a guest on, Alex Silverman from the Sports Business Journal, and we were talking about the situation. And right at the end, we talked about the Messi absence. And I said words to the effect of, there is no way that Major League Soccer will sanction Lionel Messi. That Alex Ferguson used to say there's no one player bigger than the team. And by that, he meant people like David Beckham, who he was sold to Real Madrid, let's not forget. But Lionel Messi is not only bigger than a team, he's bigger than a league. And that I couldn't see there being a sanction for this. So I was completely shocked and surprised, to be honest, that MLS, in my opinion, stood its ground and enforced a rule that it has in place that everybody knew about. Everybody knew about it, including Jorge Mas and Lionel Messi. There's no way these people are being caught by surprise by this. The rule was there. If there's a surprise for anyone, it's the fact that MLS chose to enforce the rule and not have one rule for Messi and one rule for everyone else.
I think it's, in that regard, I completely agree with you, and I think it's pretty clear cut. I mean, I'm 100% on board with you. I did not expect, I was saying it, I think, in the days leading up to today in the announcement and, the conversation throughout All-Star Week and the immediate aftermath. I think I tweeted something to the extent of, I will, retract my statement, or I'll say I'll be damned if MLS ends up pulling the trigger and suspending him, because by rule, and again, this is a rule. This is not like we're advocating for Messi to be banned or suspended for a game because, we just want him to miss a game. No, that's not what we're here to say. We're here because there is a rule in place. It's been a rule for many years. Zlatan Ibrahimovic is probably the most famous player to, before today, to face the wrath of that rule, the repercussions of that rule. So it is a rule. It's been around for a long time. Now, it was all known, like you said, Simon. So it's really hard for me to sit here, and I know Messi fans and maybe Inter Miami fans don't want to hear this. It's really hard for me to give Inter Miami any wiggle room in this situation. Is the rule maybe old-fashioned? Jorge Mas called it draconian today. Is it something that needs to be looked at and changed, like Don Garber says in that press release? Which, by the way, could he have buttered up Messi any more before he smacked them with the metaphoric punishment? I mean,
no one's done more for MLS.
Incredible.
You know what? I would suggest that Don Garber has done more for MLS than Lionel Messi over the past 25 years,
I mean, yeah, I that's how I would read it, right? Like, it kind of rang hollow when he says, or anyway, it just seemed like they're really, really, really trying to massage as best as possible a suspension that clearly they didn't want to pull the trigger on.
Of course.
But they were cornered. They were cornered into a bad spot by Inter Miami's decisions, and they had no choice. Which again, I wasn't expecting, so I will be damned, because I did tweet that today.
They did have a choice in the sense that they could have waived it, they could have ignored it, they could have conspired with Inter Miami to come up with a story about Messi being ill or something.
Then what happens? Then what happens, Simon? You're a man that knows the league. What happens then, right? You short term maybe keep Messi on the field and you appease Inter Miami. What happens to the other teams in the league? The sentiment for the fan bases for all 29
Yeah, because no one really believes it. No, they've done the right thing from the point of view of a governing body, a league, not a governing body, but a league organization. And the people can say the rule is draconian, or they can say the rule needs to be changed and so on. The fundamental problem here, Franco, is that with something like the All-Star game, either you have a rule like this or the game doesn't really happen, right? Because good luck trying to organize an All-Star game with it being an optional attendance. Right? They don't get paid any more for going to it, as far as I know. If they do,
why did this rule come into place, Simon? So the listeners, maybe some newer MLS fans or some Messi fans that haven't followed, don't know what the All-Star game is, don't really understand it. Why did this rule come into place for this game that is supposed to shine a light on MLS's biggest talents? Why is this rule in existence?
To guarantee that the best players in the league turn up for this showcase game, which the league uses with its sponsors and its television partners. It's a revenue generator for the league. It's a similar problem that other sports in North America have as well. I mean, the Pro Bowl, often, you'll see players missing, That's why you end up with, like, maybe the 12th best quarterback in the Pro Bowl and so on, Right?
I mean, it's true. So yes, this rule was implemented years ago because players were picking up very convenient injuries right before the All-Star game. They were finding reasons not to go. So MLS introduced this rule to try to enforce and pretty much obligate players to attend the All-Star game. Now, maybe we're in a different place in MLS now. And maybe, again, like Jorge Mas said, like Don Garber said, and like many people believe, maybe the rule needs to be re-examined and needs to be altered and changed. That's all well and good. That is a valid point, but that was the rule. It was the rule as it stands today. It was very clear cut, and Inter Miami knew that. Well, listen here to Jorge Mas, who, again, we got a short notice that there was a press conference with Jorge Mas via Zoom shortly after the news came. So I have a few sound bites I'm going to share, not all at once. We will start on. This is the longest one of the sound bites. Jorge Mas talking about the rule. This was his initial comments. There weren't any questions asked yet. This was just him starting the press conference, which lasted about 30 minutes, half hour. This is what Jorge Mas, Inter Miami's managing owner, had to say.
As a decision for them to sit this week was a decision made by the club, and I think that's an important point. They were coming off a run of 9 games in 35 days. Hard games. The last 2 games previous to this Wednesday were games on the road. On Wednesday at Cincinnati, on Saturday in New York. We're facing a game tomorrow, and we're facing a course of 10 games over the next 34 days. There is a rule in the MLS, which if they miss the All-Star game, they're suspended for 1 game. I believe it's a bad rule, but it's a rule nonetheless. And it's a bad rule because I think it puts the players in an untenable position to have to choose between participating in an All-Star festivity, which at the end is an exhibition match, or choosing a game, a regular season game that I think matters. And I admire both Lionel and Jordi for always thinking of club first. Lionel and Jordi would have been faced, with either missing a game in New York, which was an amazing display of football skills by our team and by Lionel Messi, which rounds have made around the world, then participate in the All-Star game in order to be able to play against Cincinnati. Having to put a player in a position to have to choose, and again, the ones that get penalized are the club, the fans, sponsors, TV, Apple, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that the punishment for the rule is frankly draconian. And I think that, for one reason or another, it served its purpose for many years in the MLS. But I think, and I allude to what the commissioner said in his statement, that the rule needs to be looked at.
So the opening remarks went for a while, and he even did in Spanish as well. Simon, what did you make of that part of the opening remarks from Jorge Mas?
Yeah, I mean, what stood out for me was him saying the club took the decision, right? So this wasn't, there wasn't any hint that this was Messi and Jordi Alba not wanting to go to the All-Star game and the club trying to persuade them, we did our best, but you got to take this into account or anything like that. He was fronting up for the club taking responsibility. Whatever has happened. Do you believe that? Whether I believe it or not, I mean, that's
I'm putting you on the spot, mother. You can't evade the question, man. Come on.
I'm skeptical. I'm skeptical of that. Yeah. But good on him for doing that. In a sense, he's going to take the shots at the league level. He'll take the shots from some of the fans. of other clubs and so on. But that was what stood out for me about it. I mean, if you say though that the rule is draconian and it's unnecessary, you're effectively
Bad rule.
it's a bad rule. You're effectively saying that there should be a free for all, and the All-Star game can basically, it's an optional game for people. And if you're doing that, then the only really logical conclusion to that is get rid of the All-Star game. Now, that's a legitimate discussion you can have. There are pros and cons against it. For many, many years, I used to go on Twitter when All-Star game came along and said, this is a giant waste of time and useless. Let's get rid of it. I'm not sure I'd necessarily say that now, especially having been in a full stadium this week and seen the way the fans reacted to it. But that is the logic of his position, is it becomes an optional game for players, and you could end up with any kind of All-Star game.
Hardly Landris in the comment section says, so what happens if Messi gets injured in the friendly match All-Star game? MLS is a joke. Pathetic. So, I mean, there's a lot of that sentiment from the hardcore Messi fans or international football fans that are not necessarily MLS fans. And this is, their first real exposure to un partido de las estrellas, to an All-Star game. I don't believe it at all, and I'm not going to be as diplomatic as you were. I don't believe it at all that this was the club's decision, because I don't think that they would just risk not having them for the weekend, especially if they only had to just make an appearance and just fly there. I think this was Messi drawing a line in the sand, saying this is not the way football is done. And this is not information. This is just my supposition, me reading in between the lines, whether you agree or disagree. I think Messi drew a line in the sand and said, this is not how football is done. Absolutely not. I'm not going. Jordi Alba maybe jumped on the same ship or on the same bandwagon and said, I'm not going either. We're going to stay in unity together. We're not going to go. We're going to push back on MLS on this, and we'll see what happens. Clearly, to me, the belief was that they were going to get away with this. Clearly, they thought, yeah, the rule's there, but they're not going to enforce it. No big deal. We'll be able to play. Now, the reason why I say that is because we're going to listen to this next soundbite where Jorge Mas is asked about Messi and Jordi Alba's reaction to the news, which again dropped earlier today. So let's listen to, where is it? I think it's this one. I hope it's this one. All right, this one.
There were conversations Monday evening and Tuesday about their attendance or not. It was in the air. They would not have played probably in the game, but their attendance, if they went, if they just went, right? And I think that both of them decided against that for obvious reasons, because it would take away from their preparation. The communication on this on all ends probably wasn't handled ideally, but it was all a very, very short time frame. The players got here on Sunday. Listen, if the players would have maybe not played in New York or felt amazing and wanted to attend the All-Star game, that was a different situation, and that's what was evaluated throughout the day on Monday. As I alluded to earlier, the rule, and I think the penalty of the rule is bad. If they're players under extenuating circumstances that can attend or want to attend, that's obviously the choice of the players and the clubs. But for us, it was important to prioritize their health over more travel, because they had come off 9 hours of flights in the previous 3 days, and making sure that they're ready for our run of games coming up now, because it's important that they be in the best shape possible. But there was communication Monday, Tuesday. There wasn't communication previous to that. So that was our communications with the league.
He slipped up there, Simon. He says they went against that for obvious reasons. He was talking about how they could have traveled, just made an appearance, but he says they went against that. Talking about Messi and Jordi Alba. So if they went against that, then clearly the decision lied in their hands. They could have made the decision, you know what, we'll go, we'll just, take some pictures, hug some babies, the whole diplomatic mumbo jumbo. But they didn't. So I know Jorge Mas is trying to be, taking the blows and then be the man on the front line here, be the face, especially in my opinion, to appease one very frustrated superstar. But it was clear to me that it was up to them, man. And then Messi, look, if Messi wanted to go, I don't think you can convince him that he can't go. But same way the other way. If he doesn't want to go, I don't think you're convincing him to go. And I think that's where, a lot of the issue stems from. Because this, going to your tweet, I want to share your tweet here that you put out earlier today, because this is one of the reasons why it is a big deal. Simon Evans, at SG Evans on Twitter, or X as it's now called, follow him if you don't already, said earlier today, Messi is paid $20.45 million by Inter Miami and also earns from a revenue sharing agreement with MLS partners Apple and Adidas, who are both heavily involved in the All-Star game. A 20-minute cameo and a few autographs would have kept everyone happy. League ultimately had no choice but to enforce their rule. Simon, so it was very simple, and Inter Miami made it very complicated.
There's another little clue in there to what I suspect may have happened here. Yeah, you're right to pick up on him saying that they had rejected the kind of solution that I'm talking about there, which, from what some of the reporting suggests, the league would have probably been okay if they didn't even do the 20 minutes. If Messi was on the field and waved to fans and juggled the ball for 3 minutes, they'd have probably taken that. The other clue in what Jorge Mas says there is that his main objection in there is with the punishment, right? I think, and I will just say this, I have to be careful a little bit, but I have...
Let it all out, Simon.
I have more than a gut feeling that Jorge Mas thought they'd get fined. That they were willing to take the hit they would pay. I mean, you look at it and you think, you're paying him $20 million. If you have to pay $100,000 punishment for him not playing in the All-Star game and you keep him happy, you pay it. But I think they thought they would get a fine, and the MLS would institute a fine, and MLS would make a big song and dance about the fine. Jorge Mas could say he was still opposed to the fine because there was no wrongdoing by Messi and so on. We could have a little bit of a charade thing about that, but that Messi would be on the field on Saturday. I think that is what may have happened here.
It's very possible. It's very possible. But to me, it's clear that it was Messi who did not want to go. Very clear. And look, it's not a secret that Messi has tremendous influence in this project. A lot of star players in any sport, especially the top ones, yeah, they can throw their weight around. They can carry that weight and use it when necessary. But in this project, because Messi is arguably the greatest player of all time, and this is a team that is 5 years in the making, this is a league that is still starving for mainstream interest here in the U.S. and maybe even internationally. Like you said earlier, Messi is bigger than the league. So Messi probably was like, they're not going to do it. There's too much riding on it for them. There's money, there's attention, there's eyeballs, there's bad PR. They're not going to do it. And I'm not going to go. They don't have the cojones to los huevos to do it. And look, MLS proved a lot of the skeptics, myself included, wrong. They did do it. Messi and Jordi Alba out against FC Cincinnati. Another soundbite here that I want to share is when Jorge Mas was asked about the lack of rotation or the load management for Messi. Because if Inter Miami wants to take the stance that he needed to be rested, they could also point to his recent appearances in which he's playing 90 minutes in every game, even games that are pretty much already decided. And Jorge Mas' response to this question was to me, very insightful.
When Messi plays 90 minutes plus. If you see him playing less than 90 minutes, he's injured. That is how Lionel has played here and will continue to play here. Load management is on Lionel Messi. Logic would tell you we'd love him to sit with big leads. It's not going to happen. Lionel Messi, when he steps on the pitch, will step off the pitch when the final whistle blows.
So, Simon, Messi calls the shots on when he comes out of the game or not. Was that made crystal clear there?
100% crystal clear. Yeah, absolutely.
So Javier Mascherano has no choice there, has no option. Even if he wanted to take him out, he cannot unless he gets permission from El Diez, from number 10, which in a sense shows you, to me, you don't have to, I don't know if you agree with me. To me, it shows how much influence there is. Maybe there's too much influence. But clearly, I mean, if the head coach can't do his job to 100% capacity because the decision is that Messi plays 90 minutes if he's on the field unless he's hurt, well, then clearly you're starting to take away from what the coach can do. And maybe I'm going a little bit further away, a little tangent here. Maybe this explains why Luis Suarez starts every single game. Maybe.
Could be.
So I was like, I got nothing to say to that.
No, look, on the big picture, I think, to some degree, I do have some sympathy with Messi and Alba about this, because All-Star games don't exist in Europe, right? They don't exist
Correct.
in South America. It looks like a little bit of a joke event, right? And to be honest, it's not a serious game of soccer. Yeah, if you watch the game, it's not a particularly serious game of soccer. No one's getting hurt.
I fully agree with all of that.
Right? And it's a marketing exercise. Here's where I have a problem with it, though, really, right? Does Lionel Messi not turn up for Michelob Ultra appearances? Does he skip those because he's concerned about the travel and he doesn't want to go up to some marketing opportunity with Adidas? I don't know. Maybe he behaves like that with his partners and sponsors as well. But the point is, Messi's not going to get injured in the All-Star game. Messi's not. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm reacting to that comment down there.
From March_Max says Inter Miami would be trophyless this season if Messi gets injured. I don't want to interrupt you, Simon, but just so that people have context. The All-Star game is played at very low intensity, and you don't really see much defense. Now, I know that might be a foreign concept to people that don't.
It's a little bit. It's a step above the Inter Miami Copa Media that they have, where Franco and Jose and Andrea are on the field. It's a step above that, but most players play 30 minutes and they're subbed off. Their starting group, a lot of them come off after the 30-minute mark. Then there's another group that plays from 30 to 45 and 45 to 60. Then they come off, and then there's a final group that plays 60 to 90. Now, there's one or two players, usually defenders, that might play 60 to 70 minutes just because you don't have that many bodies to continuously make wholesale changes. But by and large, there's not much intensity, and the amount of minutes you play is not very much. But Jorge Mas repeatedly today spoke about travel. Look, it's real. It's real that there's travel. But, I mean, come on. We know Lionel Messi gets a chartered flight with all the commodities you could ask for. He's as comfortable as anybody could be, that many thousand feet in the air. But anyway, sorry, Simon. No, but that's true. I mean, people often forget travel when they talk about load management. When people talk about how many games people have played and why would they? But this is the point. I'm responding again to this comment.
So read it, because I don't want to interrupt you. So you read it.
No. But I'm going to respond. People send it in the comments. So
but read it. Read it so people who are listening.
That's pathetic, to be honest. Says LK. That's pathetic, to be honest. Messi and Alba aren't dancing monkeys. Why would they travel not to play? They're not dancing monkeys. You're right, but they travel for commercial reasons, to endorsement things and so on. They go. Last year, how long were they stood around at the cruise line, during midweek? Which I guarantee you, standing in line at a cruise for 2 hours would take more out of you than lying. There you go.
I got it. I had it ready for you, Simon. I have that locked and loaded here in Miami Total Football Radio's database. They were sober. They spent hours. And it was, Simon, I mean, I don't want to get, again, I don't want to get away from the point.
That's brilliant. You have that ready.
They spent hours that day because they had to get to the event. They had to get through security. They went to one section of the boat. Then they had to go to the other. It was a long day.
The travel thing doesn't work the same when you're in a private jet. It just doesn't. Look, yesterday I came back from Austin. My flight was delayed 2 hours. I was in economy. My legs were a little bit cramped. I dropped my earpods down. I dropped my earpods on the floor, and like people around me had to move around. It was uncomfortable, yeah. And I'm eating food from like the, the airport taco place next to the departure gate. So that's what I'm doing. I guarantee you that Lionel Messi is lying back in a big chair with the food of his choice, in the company of the people he wants to be with, and he has a nice 3 hours relaxed watching a movie. There's no stress.
His latte or whatever.
Yeah, there's no stress involved. He didn't want to go. He didn't want to go because he considers it a joke of an event that he doesn't have to do. But it's not a joke of an event when it's...
To MLS.
To MLS, it is a marketing opportunity. It is a commercial thing. It's mainly to thank the sponsors above all, right? It's an opportunity. Apple are doing it. Apple and Adidas were the two most upfront brands at that whole All-Star game, yeah? And
you were there. I didn't go. I didn't attend. You were in Austin, Simon. So you tell us. You tell other people.
But so what do Apple think about this? Apple promote this game. Adidas promote this game. What do they think about it when Messi just doesn't turn up? But what I'm saying is, I don't see him not turning up, and there being complaints from his other commercial partners when it's directly him and no one else involved.
318 Group 07. First time. A lot of first timers here. Clearly. We've tapped into a new audience here with this topic. You do realize that the greatest player in history does not need MLS. MLS needs Messi. What happens if Messi says publicly that MLS is a joke league and he will not renew his contract with MLS? We'll get to that in a second here because I asked Jorge Mas that very question about the renewal. So we'll get there in a second. Look, does MLS need Messi more than Messi needs MLS? I would say yes, right? But Messi decided, I tweeted this not too long ago, Messi decided that at this point in his life, at this point in his career, he wanted to come to the United States and he wanted to have a calmer life and be able to spend time with his family away from the pressure cooker environment that is the upper levels of football in Europe.
Still get paid 20 million plus.
And still get paid because, listen, he turned down the Saudi money that he was offered, which was a boatload, a Royal Caribbean boatloads worth of money. But he still gets paid a pretty penny here, and he has a lot of marketing sponsorship deals with Lay's and Apple and Lowe's and
Michelob
Hard Rock, the whole thing. So he's got a lot going on here.
Messi Burger.
So he's got a lot. So he's making good money here.
He's also sponsoring a USL team on his shirt.
Is he? Oh, okay. I haven't really noticed that.
Atletico Dallas, a new team in the USL, lower divisions of USL, will wear Mas by Messi energy drink sponsorship on their shirt. So that's a rival league to MLS is being sponsored by a Messi product, which is interesting.
There you go. So the footprint is there economically, financially, but again, it was about calmer life, staying still informed, to be with Argentina for the next World Cup. So great. All those things are fine. They're acceptable reasons, whether you agree with that him making that decision or not. Maybe you want him to stay in Europe. Maybe you're an Argentina national team fan and you think, iron sharps iron. So the best place for him to be is in Europe. But it's the decision he made. Fine. All well and good if that's the decision he wants to make. Although you can criticize it. But there's a trade-off for all of those things because you're still in the United States. And whether we like it or not, because I agree that an all-star game is, it's not something serious. Is it necessary? Probably not. If MLS did away with it from a, spectacle standpoint for the fans or the audience, would it be missed? Probably not. Right. But it's important to Major League Soccer because of the reasons that Simon said. It's also one of the few times in the entire year that all the owners and all the executives can get together most, I won't say all, most can get together in the same
All of
city.
them were there this week. All of them. Every single one of them.
So it's important for MLS. It's an important American construct. And I get the international opinion that it's stupid, that it's unnecessary. I get that completely. But guess what? No one forced Messi to sign a deal here in the United States. No one forced him.
That's the point. And you know what? If you want to do it the European way, and the European way is better, in my opinion, the football system in Europe is better, and the quality of football is better, right? You play in Europe, right? He was playing for Paris Saint-Germain. He didn't get all this attention and love everywhere he went with Paris Saint-Germain. He was pretty much a flop at PSG towards the end, yeah? Were the European clubs lining up for Messi, who would give him control over his minutes? Were Manchester City saying, we'll give you 20 million a year, come to City. If you don't want to play in the Premier League this week, it's okay, you know. Oh, by the way, we've got this thing called the Leagues Cup as well. We've got 2 domestic cup competitions. He wouldn't have liked that, would he? They'd probably skip those games. You're going to get some inconvenience wherever you are, differences wherever you are. People go crazy. Guardiola spent 5 years in England complaining about them playing, and Jurgen Klopp did the same, about them playing on December 26th, which is a big part of the football tradition in England. And foreign players complain about it. The All-Star game is absurd to Europeans and South Americans. Of course it is. This is the deal. This is what you signed up for, and you get paid really well by it. You get really paid extraordinarily well by MLS standards. More than anyone's ever been paid.
Calmer life off the field that you wanted. Nobody forced Messi to sign in the United States. Nobody. They try to convince him, sure, but nobody forced him. Unless Antonella is the one to blame here, and she was like, Leo, si tú no firmas ese contrato para los niños, like, then, I mean, there's no one to blame. There's no one. This is part of the package of playing in the United States. Is it jokey? You can have that opinion. That's fair. I have that opinion. I think the All-Star game is ridiculous, especially the skills challenge that we saw the day before, which Jordi Alba was supposed to participate in. I mean, terrible. But
I liked the goalie wars, though. The goalie wars were pretty good.
that one's okay. But generally, like the fake excitement on the broadcast. Talked about this with Andrea last night. It's just overdone. But again, this is what you signed up for. This is what you signed up for. And if you don't like it, well, I mean, do you necessarily like going to Royal Caribbean and sitting there for 6 hours or 5 hours, however many hours it was? You just got to do it. You got to put up with it. Now, can you maybe use your influence behind the scenes to try to make changes for the future? Sure. But this one backfired. This one clearly backfired. They tried to throw their weight around, and it just did not work. Now, of course, if you leave Messi in an unhappy manner, if he's frustrated, extremely upset, what does that do for his future, his short-term future? Because as of today, as far as we know, he has not signed a contract extension he has not re-signed or signed a new deal with Inter Miami.
So the only bit of what Jorge Mas said that you believe is that Messi's really upset. You believe Messi's really upset?
I believe he's upset that he's being punished for something he probably deems illogical, or he deems unfair, or he deems ridiculous. You don't think Messi? You don't think Messi's like?
But he's upset. I mean, he's so extremely upset. Is I think the word that Jorge Mas said. Like Don Garber has stolen his dream of facing FC Cincinnati at Chase Stadium on a Saturday night in July. Come on.
This is the first time I think I'm going to strongly disagree with you, man, because Messi is built to play football. And I think he loves nothing more besides maybe being with his family to play football. And the fact that he's not able to do so this weekend in an important game, it is an important game, because of what he probably considers rubbish, nonsense, una tonteria. I mean, I could see him being very upset. Like, there was one clip last year where, I forget which game it was. They might have played Montreal, maybe. And one of MLS's innovative rules is that if you're 10-2 on the field, but the other player doesn't get a yellow card, you have to come off the field, I think, and you have to be off the field so you can enter again. And the broadcast caught him very clearly saying to like the fourth official, estamos jodidos, or something along those lines, like we're screwed if this is how things are managed. Like clearly he has a defined way of how football should be. I mean, most of the world does. The game has existed for a long time. And I think these little things probably do bother him. I mean, when you see his reactions, sometimes when he's at post game, especially in the beginning of the season when he was more frustrated, like I think the stuff that he views as inferior, I think they do bother him. And I think this really did bother him. I know maybe you don't agree, but let's listen to Jorge Mas. This is the last soundbite I have of him, where he talks about when I asked how this could impact potential conversations for the contract renewal. Because again, as of today, which is Friday, July 25th, Lionel Messi has not signed a new deal. He is technically set to be a free agent this winter. So let's listen to what Jorge Mas said here.
Do in terms of that renegotiation process?
Well, listen, I alluded to earlier, he's very upset, extremely upset today, as expected. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful it doesn't have an impact long term. Will it have an impact, initially in the players' perception of how the league rules work, et cetera? Absolutely, no doubt. But listen, I'm hopeful. We're taking advantage of this window. We're gonna strengthen our roster. We're gonna bring in amazing players. We're gonna continue building, because my personal opinion of every single move that Major League Soccer should make relating to roster and players should be with the golden objective of winning our Champions League, of winning our CONCACAF Champions League, because the next three winners in the next 3 years will qualify for the Club World Cup in 2029. I think there is no greater event in world soccer than a club making that tournament. I think that the focus of our league should have multiple teams as they want to spend to be able to compete and win the Champions League. And I remind that only one MLS team has won a Champions League, which is Seattle, and I'm hopeful that can change. So that's my opinion on that issue.
Why?
So he went on a tangent about MLS competing for the Champions Cup.
He's absolutely right about that, by the way.
He's not wrong.
100% agree with him with that. Yeah,
absolutely. That's a different talking point. The main talking point was the renewal. Simon, I mean, I'm going to ask it to you like this: from 1 to 100, how much at risk, or how much does this hurt the chances that Messi renews and extends his stay with Inter Miami? If you had to put a number on it.
I mean, I don't think he does, do you? I don't think it makes any difference.
It's completely. I mean, I'm not saying I'm going to disagree with you. I just want a number from Simon Evans. I'm putting your hands in the flame, man.
Okay, so I can take your argument that he's a competitive beast and he wants to be out there on the field. I'd argue that he's really like that when he's on the field, not necessarily when he's off it. But the chances that he will be so upset about missing a game against Cincinnati that he will change his entire plans for his future, will not re-sign with Inter Miami, will move his family away from America because of this decision by Don Garber and the leadership of Major League Soccer to suspend him for one game, I would say 0.
0. Wow. Okay. No percent. I like how you prefaced all of that just to say.
Well, that's 0. The context, right?
It's true. I would say there's very minimal chance. I won't put 0. 0 that means no chance. 2%. 2% chance that this could sway him to not re-sign. Now, I do think this is going to make things a little bit tougher at the negotiating table. I think he might push for some more assurances and avoid potential nonsense like he's been tied up in this week. So I agree with you. I think it's it's not. I think he's going to stay. I think he's going to sign a new deal with Inter Miami. I think he besides maybe this all-star dilemma.
You know what? He's
enjoyed life here. He's enjoying life here.
Here's another cultural difference thing, right? He has an incredible platform like no one else, right? If he wanted to change this rule about the All-Star game, yeah, there's a number of ways he could go about doing that, right? Do you think if he was in Austin and he said to Jorge Mas and Don Garber, I want to talk to the board of governors who are meeting there, and I want to tell them a few things about MLS that I think need to be changed, right? You think they would say, no, you can't come to this meeting, you're not a club owner. He'd be in the room within 5 minutes, right? And he could say to them whatever he wanted. And he could say, you know what? I'm going to play in this game for 15 minutes, sign a few autographs, and go home. But I'm not doing it next year. It's a World Cup year next year. I've got lots of other things. And you need to change a few other things about this league as well, because I need better players around me, etc., etc. He could lobby. I've never heard of Messi doing any lobbying at all in MLS. Beckham did. When Beckham was here, he didn't necessarily go into ownership meeting, but he let people know. You can rest assured of that. He let Garber know when he thought something was nonsense in MLS. There were conversations going on quite frequently. Messi doesn't do that. He also doesn't do the media. There was nothing to stop Messi coming out today and saying, you know what, this is why I didn't go to the All-Star game, because, I put everything into the field at the weekend, and I need my recovery time during the week. I'm 38 years of age now. I need to recover. I don't want to be flying backwards and forwards to Austin. He could have done that. How much media coverage would he got? As much as he wanted,
He would have definitely.
He doesn't communicate with anyone outside of his entourage and the people he needs to talk to into Miami.
So what does that say, Simon? Bigger picture, taking a step away from just this moment. What does that say? What does this all say about Messi? We know that he just likes to do the talking with his feet, but if, like you said, there's ways to impact things and manage things behind the scenes in a different way, and he's not doing that. What do you think what does that say to you? I want to read some comments after this, but what does that say to you just in general about Messi and who he is maybe off the field?
Yeah, I think he's just used to a way that he's had in Spain particularly, and also with Argentina, which is if you're not happy about something, you let your entourage know. They go away and take care of it for you, right? And you say to somebody, whether it's your father or an advisor or someone close to you, you say to them, I'm not doing that. I don't want to play that. Go and sort that out for me. Yeah. And that's the way he does business. It's the way it was done in Barcelona. That's why you hear all these people nervous about what this person thinks or what that person says, because they might report back to Messi and all this. There's not a normal communication that you might expect where somebody comes out and talks to people in face-to-face with the people or in public. It's not like that. It goes through these like corridors of like influence and stuff. It's culturally very different, no?
It's very different. I think it just shines a light into maybe more of his and his entourage's personalities and how they deal with things. There might be better ways to deal with these things. Maybe not. Maybe your opinion is that there isn't. Maybe this is the best way to do things. I don't think so.
It's not the way I do things, but I haven't come from that football culture where things have been done like that.
But it's just, and I made this point. I don't want to get too far away here from the tracks, but I made this point with Andrea. There's a video, a compilation on YouTube. I don't remember what the search terms are, but if you look it up and you see, there's different moments where Messi's been asked to do things that are outside of his comfort zone, like you touched on. And he just won't do it. He just doesn't do it. I think maybe the one that you could point at is the one on the biggest stage where he won the World Cup at last, and they placed I don't remember what it's called, the Middle Eastern robe on him, yeah. and he just in the heat of the moment and the happiness and the joy, he left it on. But in other moments, like there's been a hype video done on Barcelona social media where every player was talking in I forget which Asian language to promote a game. And this was like prime Barcelona, peak Barcelona. Every player said a line, and then when they got to Messi, who was the last player in the compilation or in the video, he just says a line in Spanish. Like he just can't be bothered. He just can't be bothered. I'm gonna send it to you. You're gonna laugh. There's another interview. I forget where he is in the Middle East, and they're asking him to like say some words in English, and he's like, no. And like they try to push because it's on live TV, and even he's like, no. Like he just can't be bothered to do things that he doesn't want to do. Let's read some comments here before we start to wrap up. Princess Shorty says, I believe Messi's upset because he's a born competitor and this game counts for the standings. Alexis Danilo Rosales, first time commenting. MLS is a joke. He could go to Europe. Inter Milan is very interested in him. He could go to Europe, but like Simon and I said earlier, then he puts himself back in that pressure-packed environment, can't really step outside.
Why doesn't he go to Europe? Why doesn't he go to Europe?
He could easily go to Europe. Thomas Soy, I'd almost wish that Messi doesn't resign to teach this league a lesson. Nick Smith agreed with you and says 0% chance that this makes Messi reconsider things. Danilo Bittencourt, and this is in Portuguese. Eu não falo português, eu falo portuñol. I speak Portuguese and Spanish, so I'm going to do my best here. Como é que pode futebol americano fazer uma coisa dessa com Lionel Messi, cara que é o melhor da história? So what does that mean if I have to translate that?
How can American soccer treat Lionel Messi like this, who is one of the greatest of histories?
Yeah, how can they make him go through something like this? 318 Group 07. Al Hilal offered him $600 million a year. Messi's income in MLS will not even go beyond $100 million right now with the offers. I hope Messi soon decides to leave this joke of a league and go to the Saudi league instead. Yeah, he's gonna go play against Cristiano Ronaldo and do that whole thing again.
Do you think Ronaldo would have played in the All-Star game?
Yes. That's definitely his on brand for him. Very on brand.
He just got a hat trick. He just got a hat trick in the All-Star game. And he just celebrated every goal.
Off his shirt. He would have flexed that muscles. He would have done the whole thing. Ken O'Rive says, why would you want Messi to play a meaningless game when no player wants to play hard? Messi's the ultimate warrior. No meaningless games. We'll do a couple more. Le Plus for Avali comparing shitty MLS with the Premier League. Bruni Sense, Inter Miami has made the Rodrigo de Paul signing official. Yeah, they did tease it. I don't know if something's come out since, we started the show, but they did tease it on Twitter today. And Atletico Madrid did announce it earlier this evening. So Rodrigo de Paul might be even unveiled tomorrow. Maybe there was supposed to be this big party tomorrow to unveil Rodrigo de Paul. And now it's been spoiled a little bit by this.
By the way, if Rodrigo de Paul's signing for Inter Miami, what are the chances that Lionel Messi abandons? They've put out a picture of him on the official channels, by the way. So yeah, a video of him. What are the chances that having signed Rodrigo de Paul, the bodyguard of Lionel Messi, and all the rest of it, what are the chances? Yep,
Inter Miami signs World Cup winning. Well, I can't read the rest of the headline, but you know where that's going. It's going to Rodrigo Paul. Sorry, Simon, I didn't want to interrupt it. Just breaking news here on Miami Total Football Radio. Here it is. Inter Miami signs World Cup winning Argentine international midfielder Rodrigo de Paul. There is the image for everybody. There you go. It's official.
Which is a fantastic signing for Inter Miami. Absolutely brilliant signing. It's. I would argue that is the second best signing that Inter Miami have made in their history.
Interesting. We could argue that, but we won't do it today because it's Friday night, and I want you and the people to go enjoy their Friday nights. We're going to start wrapping up. A couple more comments here. LK says, Guillem Balage said in an interview a couple hours ago that Messi is pissed. And Yamila adds, first time commenting, as an outsider, this makes MLS look really bad. I mean, what? So to wrap it up, Simon, before we summarize this whole thing, I mean, what do you think this does do for perception for MLS nationally and internationally? And you don't have to go long. You can just give me a quick.
No, I think it's a good way you framed it because they're two totally different things.
Yes.
I think nationally, people will quietly respect this in the United States. I think if you were to go on one of those talk shows, on the Pat McAfee show or something like that, people would say, he doesn't want to turn up. Everyone else turns up. There's a rule. And he didn't play by the rules. You punish him. I think that would go down well with Americans. Internationally, people think this idea of an all-star game is like a typical Mickey Mouse MLS thing, as we've seen in the comments. So people think it's crazy. How can you punish Messi for not taking part in a joke of a game, for a joke of a league, and all the rest of it? probably doesn't change anything. I mean, it upsets the Messi fanboys and girls. Of course it does. I tell you what else upset Messi fanboys and girls, like the 10-year-old little kid that I was talking to in Austin, who'd queued up for 2 days outside the stadium with 2 different Messi shirts, wanting to see his hero. He was a bit upset as well, I think, and his mum who bought the tickets.
The insight from Simon Evans, who was on the ground in Austin. And now all of a sudden, when we want to start wrapping up the show, we get a lot more comments from a lot more people that are brand new. Look, we got something from Natalia Cristela. I get that rules are rules, but this applies to a freaking All-Star game. They already bent a lot of rules to get Messi here. Now nobody knows how that game ended. The bigger issue is the suspension. Summer Sunshine says, by the way, my favorite co-host.
I don't mind answering a few of these if you want, Franco.
Well, this one's all yours, Simon, from Summer Sunshine. It's a picture of Messi holding up the Barcelona 10. And it's actually a complimentary response. They're not like going at us or crucifying me. By the way, my favorite co-host with you is Simon. And Simon, it's a no, I just watched program from Europe. They're laughing at MLS for doing this to the best player who is having people watch MLS. So apparently you are Summer Sunshine's favorite co-host on Miami Total Football Radio, the show. There you go, Simon. See, people. No, but
there will be shows in Europe where they're laughing at this. I'm sure, especially in Spain. I would think, where they will secretly hope that he's going to return to Barcelona, which he could have done.
Princess Shorty says Simon is my favorite too. A lot of love for Simon. Simon Says, baby. Simon Says. That might be your new nickname, actually. I might start calling you Simon Says. It's very obvious, but I like it. I used
to get that at school, man.
There you go. I'm bringing you back. I'll trade it off for some technological pointers.
No, well, your listeners have good taste. Your viewers.
Yeah. I mean, there's not much more to say here. I don't think there's a lot more to add. I think we've touched on pretty much all the points. We'll see how Messi responds next week in Leagues Cup when he is eligible again to play. We'll see what kind of demeanor he has. If he takes out all his frustration and fury on the poor Liga MX teams that are in his path, or if maybe he's just drinking his mate and just a chill guy, as he normally is.
See how he reacts tomorrow night at the stadium where he'll be cheering on his teammates, right?
Nick Smith says ESPN UK was saying how ridiculous it is. Ooh, I like this one. Princess Shorty says, Simon Dice. That could be your nickname. Simon Dice. Simon says in Spanish. Simon Dice. Simon, there's the accent. Simon Dice. I like
yeah, I like the accent there. Keep the accent.
I like that. Simon Dice. Yeah, nice. It's organic. All right. Well, I would love to keep this going because people are apparently jumping in and still tuning in. Even though it's Friday night at 9:16 p.m. I think we're going to call it there. I promise you that I would not take up too much of your time because I know you've got things to do with the missus, or you've got Friday night Simon Evans, Simon Dice things to do. So if we just have to summarize this, I mean, we both agree that it's a just punishment because it was clearly established beforehand. They knew what they were risking. They took the risk and they lost. And I don't think there's much more to say about it other than that, unless you have something you want to add.
No, I think it's unfortunate. Look, he's a gift to this league. He's a gift to this club. It is really a privilege for us as journalists to get to watch him play as much as we do, because he can still, despite his age and not being able to do everything he used to do, he can still have these wonderful moments and produces usually 1 or 2 in every game. Yeah. And so it's a shame that this has happened. It's very unfortunate. On the other hand, I'm pleasantly surprised by MLS showing the backbone to do this. The rules are there. The rules should be applied to everyone. I think we all want that in life, don't we? We all want that feeling in society and in life that there's a fairness and everyone is treated the same under the law as it was. So, you can have both those feelings. I think that, you can love Messi, you can feel sad that this has happened, while understanding that MLS, I think, really in the end took a decision which is more about the rest of the players. It's more about the rest of the players and the fact that they are under these rules. Maybe they're going to change it. Maybe the All-Star game won't exist in a few years. for me, it does feel a little bit of a relic from the past of MLS. And I think as MLS becomes more and more like football in the rest of the world in terms of the level and everything else, I wouldn't be surprised to see the All-Star game start to disappear. And if it does, it won't fade away. It'll be just taken out of the program. But that's not happening now. And yeah, I think they thought they'd get fined and there wouldn't be a ban. That's what I think happened. But that's my take on it. It's an unfortunate situation, really.
It's like the end of Scooby-Doo where they take off the mask and they say, I was going to get away with it if it wasn't for those pesky kids. That's
meddling kids.
Meddling kids. There you go. See, I knew you would know, Simon. I knew you would know. For me, I think I've made it clear that Inter Miami took a gamble. They knew the consequences of losing that gamble. They didn't think it would happen. They lose that gamble. Now they have to pay the consequences. The rule was there. It was established. I don't have much sympathy here. Unfortunately for Jorge Mas, Lionel Messi, and Jordi Alba. Yes, it's a tough spot, but it's part of MLS, and MLS is what you signed up for. I agree with you. Massive PR points. This is going to do a lot of. It's going to give it's going to give MLS a lot of goodwill with the fans of the other 29 clubs, because nobody or very few people expected this to actually happen. You know, Inter Miami is considered to be the favorite, the teacher's pet, el favorito, el engreído, that there's favoritism for Inter Miami, and now this kind of goes against the grain and is an example of that not being the case. I got a message from somebody in the soccer world today that was like, funny what a little public pressure can do. But all the same, they made that decision. So they'll win points. MLS will with the other fans from across the league. And that does help, at least in one form. Maybe internationally they get laughed at and they get criticized, but it's not a complete loss. Other than that, for me, I think bigger picture, if we take away just the bigger picture, I think this was always going to be part of Messi's time here. It's a hinge point, right? It's like a hinge on the door. This is a punto bisagra. It's a time for MLS to really reflect and say, what are we doing and what do we want to do going forward? Do we want to continue to be this type of league? Do we want to be a different type of league? Do we need to get rid of some of these more American mechanisms or these more American ideologies and thoughts and practices?
MLS 3.0, Don Garber said this week. But we're moving to MLS 3.0. It's going to be different. So let's see.
So maybe that's what, Messi's time and the legacy will be. Besides the goals and the performances, maybe that'll be, like just David Beckham was, right? There was David Beckham and the DPs came and, it helped push the league forward. Maybe this is what Messi's time here will be remembered. We'll see. We'll see. For right now, Inter Miami will be without Messi and Jordi Alba. Two big losses for Saturday night's match against FC Cincinnati. We didn't even talk about that game. We didn't even analyze how big the losses could be, which clearly, Simon, they're big losses. I mean, does Inter Miami have any chance at winning now this match, in your opinion, very quickly?
Yeah, for sure they do. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, somebody's got to step up. Let's see who's going to be.
You're confident,
Could
man.
be Mr. Segovia. Give him the space. Give him a little bit of space.
Suarez turns back the clock in Messi's absence and completely crushes it tomorrow and pushes Inter Miami to a big victory. Lifts up the shirt and says, "Screw you, Don Garber. How dare you do that to my friend?" Maybe. Look, I mean, I predicted a win when
we are the All-Stars.
We are the All-Stars. Jorge Mas did say that today.
Didn't he?
He said
in Spanish. He said it in Spanish only, though. He said
the wording he used. He's like,
"Todos estrellas." He said.
No. He said, I think he said it in English. Every game we play to me is an all-star game. Every game he did say that. I thought they would win with Messi and Jordi Alba on the field, despite them just losing 3-0 in Cincinnati a week ago. I don't see how they win without Messi and Jordi Alba. The defense is depleted. Cincinnati has a good defense. I mean, Suarez is going to have a masterclass.
Evander might be tired. He played
From
25 minutes in the All-Star game.
Oh man! See, the fact that we're laughing, we're gonna get like crucified by Messi fans because they're like, "Look, they're happy." That's not
We
the
love
case.
Messi. Don't get us wrong. We love Messi. Who doesn't
I love
love
covering
Messi?
Messi. I love covering Messi. Although I wish he would do some interviews, but man, yeah,
He
we'll
will
leave it
do.
there. Ruth Diaz says, ¿por qué le siguen dando vueltas a este tema? Dejen el drama. In English, that means, why do you guys keep talking about the same topic? Leave the drama alone. Well, we're done. Ya terminamos. We're not talking anymore. Yeah, we're done. We're done. I wish we could keep going, but we cannot. We will leave it there. Bernie says 3 goals by El Pistolero. That would be interesting. Simon, thank you for joining us. Plug your new stuff, Simon. I've been trying to get the show under an hour and 10, but plug your new stuff. We still got a couple minutes here to spare. You're in a new venture now. You're in a new venture. You went to
So if you're interested in like the business of soccer, what goes on behind the scenes and all the sponsorship deals and all that kind of stuff, I have a website, thesoccerbusiness.com, and it's got a podcast as well, the same name, and a weekly newsletter. You can get it all when you go www.thesoccerbusiness.com. It's all there. It's written by me. It's original reporting. A lot of stuff about the background to everything that goes on in MLS and how it's changing. Exactly what we were just talking about at the end there. This week, the reason I was in Austin was Don Garber was giving these talks about the future of the league, and he calls it MLS 3.0 with different roster rules, maybe different competition structure. It does affect, even if you're not that interested in the business of the game, it affects what you're going to see on the field in the next year or two. They were talking about, changing the way the competition is organized, the playoffs, the regular season, whether they're going to play an international calendar, all these kind of issues. That's what I've been writing about all week. So you can see that. And you can follow me on Twitter at sgevans.com.
Absolutely. Simon Evans, a.k.a. Simon Dice. Simon, thank you for joining us. One last comment here. It comes from Centro de Estudios Paleosociológicos. Wow. Hagan estos análisis en español, por el amor de Dios se los pido. So, asking to have these analysis done in Spanish for the love of God. Quizás pronto. Maybe soon. But not with Simon. I don't know if his Spanish is
AI is getting there, man. AI is getting there soon. I'll be able to do it. I'll do it in Portuguese as well with AI.
Yeah. Hey, there we go. I can do some Portuguese here. I got some love here. Yeah, see, Princess Shorty says also props to Franco for speaking Portuguese.
There you go.
Yeah, and engreído is a new vocab word for me. That one's in Spanish, but yes, engreído. It's like the spoiled one, the preferred one, like when you have kids. It's a Peruvian thing though, because engreído some other countries is like an insult, which doesn't mean the same thing. But anyway,
it mean like ungrateful one a little bit?
Yeah, so it means something like that in other countries. Like, but in Peru, that just means like you're the like the teacher's pet or the favorite kid in the family, the one that gets all the favorite treatment and all that good stuff. But anyway,
you know what we call it? The fatted calf.
The fatted calf.
Like the one the family keeps that they keep. They save for Christmas. Yeah.
All right. Well, that does it for the emergency pod of Miami Total Football Radio. Thank you, Simon Evans, for joining us here, my friend. We have the nickname for you. It finally came. Simon Dice. For all the listeners, all the viewers, thank you for tuning in on Friday night. Short notice. You guys were very active today. We enjoy that. Give us a like, comment, a share, a subscribe, smash the bell, smash the button, share it with your friends, argue with us, agree with us, whatever the case is, en inglés, en español, either one. Follow Simon's work. You know where to find me. We'll be back next week at some point to see how Lionel Messi responds to all this, at least with the ball at his feet. So for Simon Evans, I am Franco Panizo. You have been watching or listening to Miami Total Football Radio, the show. We will talk to you guys again very soon.